welcome to another edition of Blue Collar Sports Talk, eh? All right, we're going to give you the quick lineup of what we're talking about today, and you're going to love it. We're going to start out with our Husker news. I mean, you guys seem to like that, eh? Don't you? And then we're going to dig into the NHL playoffs. You know, everybody loves some hitting and stuff with the playoffs and the hockey. I mean, they do. Trust me. Then we got the NBA playoffs. All right? The NBA. I love those guys. They're great. I mean, just listen to this song in the background. James loves this song. Well, and then we got some final thoughts. We'll give you our final thoughts on some stuff. All right, now here's our show. You enjoy, okay? Hey, everybody. Welcome to a Thursday fun morning here in Nebraska, May the 18th.
Hello.
We got James here with us, and we're going to give you some blue-collar sports talks.
After a little Curtis Blow introduction for those of you that are fans.
Right, yeah, we're going to give you some of that stuff, that good stuff over here now. Jumping right into it, Husker news. Baseball team going to Purdue for a 3-game series. That starts tonight.
And we were talking about this last night and I've heard, I guess, somebody was saying that the baseball team has said they didn't forget last year. So remember last year when Purdue was supposed to play that game against Maryland, and if they lost, Nebraska got in. Well, there's weather, and they're like, oh, we don't know if we're going to get it in, so they canceled the game altogether. So Purdue got in the tournament, and Nebraska didn't even have a chance because they pushed the game. And oh, by the way, it never rained. So, okay. All right, Nebraska, it's your turn. Make the statement. You control your own destiny. You have a chance to finish between the top 2 seeds and the 7-8 seeds, somewhere in the middle. So let's take at least 2 out of 3 and get a good seeding here. But yeah, don't forget last year. Purdue left you hanging. They didn't give you a chance. Let's go get them.
You know, I honestly didn't remember that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Indiana and Maryland are tied as of today at 15-6 in the Big Ten. Iowa's at 13-7. Rutgers is 13-8, tied with us, and Michigan. I've got some numbers here. If I forget to put the link in the description on YouTube, go to Huskers.com because I can't go over everything that they had listed because the Husker men's baseball team had a bunch of academic awards. And I'm just going to go over Bryce Matthews. He's got 20 home runs and 19 stolen bases, and he's approaching what they call the 2020 club.
Yeah.
So one more stolen Bose. I guess he's stealing Bose speakers. One more stolen base. And he will become the first player in program history to hit 20 homers and steal 20 bases in a season.
I remember that was a huge thing in MLB, the 30-30 club, you know, because normally your power hitters aren't stealing bases. So, yeah, to have this to me is the equivalent, if not even better. In college, they play a quarter of the games that those guys play. Yeah, 2020. And like I said, go back to 2011, only 6 people total. So
and only 2 in the regular season.
Right. So they needed postseason to get there, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So if he can get one at Purdue, he will be one of 3 to do it in the regular season.
And you know what? Purdue has to know, like, he's going to be itching to steal. So when he gets on first, I hope the first thing the coach is like, dude, if you green light's on, but make a good move.
Right. And now through May 16th, Max Anderson is one of 3 players nationally hitting at least 400. Hitting 400.
Jeez.
And has 19-plus homers, 65 or more RBIs in this season. He joins a kid out of Georgia, Charlie Condren, and Fairfield's Charlie Pagliarini.
Oh, it's too bad Max's name ain't Charlie. That would have been pretty cute.
So the softball team, they are actually in the Big Ten tournament right now.
Yep.
And they're going to take on number 21 Wichita State Friday. So that game's going to start at 6. Live coverage on that is ESPNU. Oh, I forgot to mention, the 3-game series for Purdue is on Big Ten Plus.
Yes.
So if you have Big Ten Plus, you can watch that 3-game series. Otherwise, you can also listen to them on the radio or go to Huskers.com. They'll give you a live feed there. So softball. Again, if I don't cover all of the names or the numbers that you want to hear, man, you have to go to Huskers.com, because I'm just going to give you some information on Courtney Wallace. Courtney Wallace has recorded the most wins in a season since 2014. In 2014, it was Tatum Edwards. She finished the season with 24-13.
Whew.
She's 10th all-time in school history with 57 career wins. 10th all-time in NU history in innings pitched.
Jeez.
616 innings, man.
Man, and for those of you who don't know, softball is nothing like, I can't say nothing like baseball. Baseball pitchers need the 3 to 5 days rest after throwing X amount of pitches. But in softball, you can throw 2 or 3 games in a row because of the underarm sling. There's not as much strain on the shoulder. I think it's more on the elbow if it's, not done correctly. So, yeah, these girls can pitch a few games. And honestly, we might see Courtney in 2 or 3 games in a row in this tournament. So
yeah, that's what they did the last finish out their season.
Yeah. So, I mean, you ride the hot hand, and if she's got it going, if not, we got other people to move in. But, yeah, 600 innings. That is a lot of work, and hats off.
And tied for 6th all-time in career saves with 9.
So not only does she win the game, she comes in, she helped close out the games that someone else started. She's like, hey, I got you.
Right. Here's some interesting numbers. They're second in the Big Ten Conference with hitting 307. Their average is 307. That's 33rd in the nation.
There you go.
I mean, when you average as a team, 307.
Yeah.
Wow.
When you get Major League Baseballs can't even hit 300.
We have the distinction of being 3rd in the Big Ten in shutouts. We have 12, and that ranks 63rd in the NCAA. 31st in the nation with a 494 slugging percentage. Caitlin Kaneda is hitting 373, and that leads the Big Red. 9th in the conference. Billy Andrews has 15 home runs. So, come on, ladies, let's get it done against number 21.
Yep. And the whole big softball tournament starts. All the first games are on Friday. There's nothing today. But 11 a.m., noon, all the way down until the night games. So if you're college softball and you need your fix, Friday morning and then obviously through the weekend, we're going to be having games. So it's that time of year. We're getting up there for all the tournaments.
Now, I didn't print it on the sheet that I gave James, but did you happen to see, it was beginning of May, they did a Tackle Your Son event for the Husker football team? So they got a bunch of the moms on the football team that wanted to participate in this. They gave them pads, they gave them helmets, they taught them how to tackle, and they allowed them to come in and tackle their son.
Oh, my.
So if you can find video footage of it, it's amazing. And it's a great way, to bond with the team and the other parents that are all of the football team. So
when mom's 5'11", 120, and her son's 6'4", 285. That had to be amazing.
So it was Matt Rule's wife's decision to try to do this, and I think it's awesome.
Oh yeah. It's a good bonding moment. Everything, get in there,
right?
And just let mom feel what all those pads feel like.
Right.
When you're like, how'd you not see that guy? Mom, I can't see crap in this helmet. So.
But also, imagine how competitive these kids are.
Oh yeah.
So they learned it from somewhere, right? So
right.
I can guarantee you that some of these moms were going all out.
Oh man, yeah.
Right.
Free shot at, Billy. Oh yeah.
Right. That also, I wanted to bring up that the Rayola kid chose Georgia. You can't blame the kid.
No.
And with the transfer portal, who's to say he doesn't come back around? But who's to say he doesn't choose another team?
And to me, Nebraska fans, hold out. Everyone decommits and commits these days. You see it almost daily. Let's see, because you don't have to sign until December and February. by December, we'll know what Nebraska season's like. We'll know what kind of bowl game, if a bowl game, where he's like, you know what? Matt Rule might be the guy, has us turn around, go in the right direction. Or it's, oh, yeah, there's no way I'm going there. They're still a couple years behind, and I want to go to a team winning. So, yeah, leave the door open. Don't get all mad at him yet. He's still young.
See, that's just it.
He has time.
You mentioned what I wanted to talk about. It's Rule's first season.
Right.
He chose a program that is coming off national championship wins. And, Yeah. So you can't blame the kid for wanting to go to that program.
Right. Yep.
But also, and I've said it before, the transfer portal should be renamed. I'm not tops on the depth chart.
And speaking of that, they have 2 or 3 guys ahead of him. Granted, again, he's not even there yet. He's still a senior in high school this year. Right. Well, right now, I mean. So, yeah, when he goes there, it's going to be, an eye-opener. And who says he doesn't sit behind some of those guys, learn some stuff, and then he transfers to Nebraska after that? Well, I say Nebraska. He could transfer anywhere, obviously. But, yeah, let Rule turn around the season and let him give the kid to say, hey, we are going to make this a big turnaround, and he could be a part of it. And if he's not, he's not. Rule's going to do is what we got, and I think we win games. So
Rule has his work cut out for him. I'll say that. Big Ten is not easy. And I'm glad to have him on board. I'm glad to move on from Scott Frost. You never know until you try it. So we tried out the Scott Frost experiment, and we're moving on. And I think Matt Rule has everything in place to be successful. I don't think he's going to get us a national championship in year one. I will be glad that if he gets us above 500. So, again, I think last week I mentioned a quote from Tom Osborne. Tom Osborne was saying, I want the Husker Nation fans to realize that a 10-1 season or a 9-2 season is still a winning season. It's not a losing season.
Thank you.
Because we've experienced losing seasons. So.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
That being said, can't wait for Husker football. Can't wait. I did notice that they changed the date for the Illinois game, I think, to October 6th. I don't know what changed, other than I just saw that they moved the date around.
Okay. Yeah, I must not have seen that. I'll have to do some looking into there. But, I mean, yeah, we're right around the 100-day mark for the first games and training camps and all that good stuff. So May is, halfway gone already. Got 2 weeks left, a 5-Monday May, and we're halfway through it already.
Halfway through May, and we're going to transition into the NHL playoffs here. So
on that, we did make really good picks last week. Roger, not as much well on the hockey. We should have picked a series since we weren't going to have a show before. But me and you both had Florida winning that one, had the Golden Knights winning that night, Hurricanes winning that night, and the Krakens won that night. We just didn't finish out the series, which, most of you guys know by now, Dallas Stars end up moving on. They'll face the Golden Knights, who took out Edmonton. Florida, of course, took out the Maple Leafs, with the Hurricanes taking out my Devils. So now I don't have to watch hockey anymore. I'm just kidding. So, yeah, you have a number 8 seed Florida Panthers playing the Hurricanes. And on a side note, you have the number 8 seed Miami Heat playing the Celtics.
Right.
So, and like Roger said last night, you imagine if the Jaguars or Miami come in and make it to the Super Bowl, and for the state of Florida, these teams coming out of nowhere.
So that would be huge, because it could happen.
Right.
I don't see it happening for the Miami Dolphins, but it could. What I wanted to point out in the hockey series, so you have 2 teams that just had to play 5 games.
Yeah, real short, lots of rest.
And then you had 2 teams that are playing after game 6 and 7. So in my mind, I always wonder, does the rest help you, or does staying in rhythm and you continue to play without having so much rest? In hockey, I think the rest helps you.
I 100% agree. And again, I don't watch a whole lot of hockey, but I'm watching it. I know they run plays. I know they have like little setups they try to do here and there. But as far as the rest, the biggest thing is, making the pass, right? And you can get that off in practices and the goals. I think the rest, especially, it wasn't like it was forever. These guys are going to come in very fresh. And the one thing I'm with Florida is their goaltending has been amazing. Only 2 goals, 1 goal, and a loss. I'm sorry, 2 goals. They only gave up 2 goals a game. And then you can look at Carolina against the Devils. They had a 4-game, mostly 1 goal, 4-game and a 4-goal and a 2-goal game. And those are watching that, the Devils looked just terrible. The Panthers only won 1 this year. Hurricanes hit 2 out of 3. They did shut out the Panthers once, and the Panthers shut out the Hurricanes once. So the last matchup was a 6-4 game in April. I like the hot goaltender in Florida, and it's really hard to tell because I watched them play the Devils several times, and the Canes looked good, but they didn't look dominant. Not that the Florida looks dominant.
How can you say Florida doesn't look dominant? They took out Boston.
You're right. I don't know. Boston's still riding the high of the 2 records they set for wins and points.
So I texted Roger earlier to see what he thought about these series, and he took the Canes. He's taken the Hurricanes to win the series. And I think that's a good one. I'm looking here and I realized that I didn't put the Hurricanes and the Panthers
on our sheet.
On the sheet. Okay, so it's tonight. Florida Panthers in Carolina.
Yep.
They start the series. Carolina's favored. That's a 7:00 start on TNT. And so Roger's taking the Canes for the whole series. Who do you have for this whole series?
For the series, I'm going Florida. They don't seem to be bothered by anybody, obviously, to get it this far. When we come back, there'll be 4 games would have been played between these 2 teams. I think next Thursday, our next session here, it'll be 2-2. I think I take Florida in 6. I can see it going 7, but I'll say 6. I believe it'll be 2-2 coming back after the first 4. It might even be an every other game thing. That seems to be the theme this year in hockey, is almost an every other game winner. So, yeah, they're on the road, but Florida's playing really good. I'm going to take Florida tonight.
I'm going to go with the Canes over the whole series. And I'm banking on the Hurricanes playing well on the road because in the regular season, they did take 1 in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's a completely different ball game when you get to the playoffs. And the Panthers are on a huge run.
Right.
I think the Panthers take game 1 tonight, and I think Carolina rights the ship, and then they take the rest of the series. On a side note, we did have a fun little pizza pizza wager between myself, James, a guy at work, and Roger. And somehow Peter's coming out just smelling like roses, and we still have 2 more series, and there's no way any of us can overtake him.
Yeah, me and Roger are a little disappointed. When I asked, I goes, is everything worth 1 point? Because, once you win a couple and people lose a team, like Roger said, he can win out. He has the Canes win it all, and he still can't win.
I know.
So,
but yeah, it's kind of funny. We put this all together, and we didn't make any rules until after the fact.
Yeah.
So shame on us or whoever, or yay us. Anyway.
We'll be better prepared next year.
Will we?
We'll be better prepared.
Okay.
All
right. I'm sure we'll have forgotten by then.
Yeah. So you got Canes in the series, and you got Canes tonight?
I have Canes in the series, and I have Panthers tonight.
Okay.
I have Panthers tonight. But I just, heck, who knows? You never know, man. Carolina could come in and sweep them. Panthers could come in and sweep them. But for some reason, I'm just thinking Panthers win tonight. So they have the over set at 5.5. So they think The goalies, yeah.
3-2, 4-1. Yeah.
I think the goalies have their work cut out for them.
Yep.
And then Vegas Knights, which is Peter's team, is playing Friday against the Stars. The Stars are coming to town. Again, that's, Dallas had to go to 7 to beat Seattle. Are they tired? Vegas had to go 6 to beat Edmonton, and a couple of those were overtime. Are they tired? I don't know. Who do you have? We'll start with the series. Who do you have for the series?
I picked against Vegas pretty much every time. I had Edmonton winning it all. So, yeah, if those of you were wondering, I had the Oilers winning it all. They went out, laid a couple eggs early in that series against the Knights. Really not cool. But I still like the Dallas Stars. The Dallas won all 3 games against the Knights this year. One with a shutout. So I'm not saying they have Vegas's number, but their style of play versus their style of play, it works out for them. So I'm going to take Dallas again, and it's just because it's hockey, every other game type thing. I'll take 6 for Dallas also. But this one I could definitely see going all 7 games. But I'll take Dallas in 6.
Roger has the Stars winning the series as well. And, man, this is a flip of the coin for me. When you get to this point and both teams have battled and they want it so badly, who wants it more, who gets one more lucky break, who takes a puck off the face and they score a goal with it.
Right.
I mean, I know that was the Oilers, but all right. Sorry, Peter. I'm going the Stars. The Stars are the underdog. And actually this is a Friday matchup, and
yeah, tomorrow night.
I'm trying to find a line. Oh, there we go. Vegas is favored, and the overs and unders are set at 5.5.
Yep. And they're at home, so especially hockey, kind of like college football, the home team's going to get a little more love.
I'm changing. I'm going Vegas. I'm going Vegas Knights for the series.
Okay.
We all 3 can't have the Stars. We gotta have some controversy. So I'm going Vegas Knights.
Yep. And they're very evenly matched. I mean, both shooting about 31 shots a game, both giving up 30 shots a game. So the power play goals very in favor of Dallas, 64-42 for the Knights. So that might be a thing if Vegas can stay out of giving up a power play. Power play goals against, again, Dallas only given up 40 to the Knights have given up 44. So they both have 10 shorthanded goals. So again, they're very evenly matched. I think what hurts Vegas is the same thing that hurt them against Edmonton, is once Edmonton got on the power play, they were in the game or were going to win the game. So if Vegas can stay out of the penalty, make Dallas play 5-on-5, the longer the better. And on the flip side, Dallas's thing is to get in there, either get the penalty, but they're a very physical team. Dallas is I think, my opinion, a little more physical than the Vegas Knights are. But goals against and goals for, they're very, very even. So I could see 3-2 games every night, or a 4-1. You have one team that gets a little hot, goalie a little struggling. So yeah, I still like Dallas. Like I said, I think they've been more battle tested since Edmonton really didn't show up this last series against the Knights.
So James and I, during this week, we were talking about what we should talk about, and we talked about mentioning what makes a dynasty and some dynasties, and we meant specifically for NBA, but thinking about hockey, who comes to mind as dynasties in hockey?
Red Wings in the 90s. I mean, I can't think. Yzerman, I think was his name. Red Wings with the Scotty Bowman in the 90s. Good grief. Every time I turn the TV on, they were either winning a game or moving on in the playoffs or in the Stanley Cup. They had a couple tough losses in the Stanley Cup, But yeah, I think I don't know for sure because I didn't follow hockey as much, but I'd have to say they'd probably had the most wins in the 90s. And then you had the Colorado,
Who did you mention the first time?
Detroit.
Detroit, the Red Wings. So they have 11 Stanley Cup wins and they have 24 Stanley Cup appearances.
Yeah. Oh, good grief. Yeah. 24.
So who do you think has the most? And this is going from this is an article I pulled up from the Sporting News.
Okay. I'm probably a Canada team. I'm going to say Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
35 appearances and 24 wins.
But don't they have a huge drought right now?
They haven't won a Stanley Cup since 93.
Yeah.
But they appeared in 21. And then the next one is another Canada team. I'll give you a hint.
All right. The Maple Leafs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
21 appearances, 13 wins. Their last win, 67.
Oh, yeah. And, well, yeah, coming into this playoffs, they were obviously favored against Florida and didn't do it, but they had a chance to, right the ship and get back in the finals and all that and failed out. Another one, Patrick Waugh with Colorado. They didn't have as long as a run as Detroit.
So the Avs appeared in 3 Stanley Cups and won 3 Stanley Cups.
Yes. Well, Patrick Waugh and what was their center?
Forsberg?
Yes, Peter Forsberg. Good grief, man. They were great. Him and Eric Lindros had some great battles for Philly. Yeah, so here for Dynasty, granted 3, but that was pretty good because they were, again, they were there every time. They were, Joe Sakic also, right? Joe Sakic
was part of that. So I'm going to mention one more team, and they went out in the first round this series. The Bruins.
Boston, yeah.
The Bruins have 20 appearances and 6 wins. Now, how many do your Red Wings have?
Or you mean the Devils, or?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. How many?
Because I'm definitely not a Detroit fan.
I said that wrong because that was where we're going after the Devils.
Okay.
How many appearances do your Devils have?
I think they have 5 and 1-2.
5 appearances and 1-3.
1-3. Okay. And Brodeur, I love him. He's finally taken over, and not taken over. I'm sorry. They finally added him on the GM side of things of getting the talent and things. So hopefully this is an early start to what I can start to expect to see them in the playoffs more.
And number 3 on the list, I already ruined it because I already told you who it was.
The Red Wings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have 24 appearances and they have 11 Stanley Cups.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And that's what I think most of those were in the 90s from what I remember. But again, they had some tough losses.
And their last appearance was 2009 and their last win was 2008.
Yeah, and they've been through, I want to say, at least 3 coaches since then, too. They're still battling, trying to find their thing. And to me, the Red Wings are almost like the Lakers, the Celtics, the Sixers, where for American hockey, or I'm sorry, the hockey in the U.S. teams, your Bruins, the Red Wings are right there as far as the gold standard. And they just can't reset or reload or whatever you want to call it to get back into prominence, which is weird because, again, it's such a history. They used to spend money. Maybe that's it. They're not, bringing in the free agents or spending where they need to spend.
So with all that talk about dynasties and winning the cups, and let's move on to the NBA.
Yeah, so right after, and I love JJ Redick, and I'll get to that in a minute. But right after Golden State loses to the Lakers, which when you play that bad, I don't even know how you're in the playoffs if you're going to play a game like that. That's just embarrassing. The Golden State Warriors, if any of you guys didn't see and you just looked at the score, that was probably some of the worst basketball I've seen, especially in a Game 7. That was for not just Curry. Curry played decent, but for the whole team, that was just, oh my. But right after that game, the question of the day on the networks was, is the dynasty over? Is Golden State's dynasty over? I'm like, really? And they start naming players, and I'm like, I don't think a dynasty has to do with what players. You can flip it over to New England. Yeah, they kept Tom Brady, but look at the wide receivers that interchanged in and out of there. Look at the running back that interchanged in and out of there. The tight ends, until they got Gronk in there for a few more extra years. Randy Moss was only there 1 year, but that was a dynasty. To me, a dynasty is, I don't care who's on your team, as long as you're winning and you're going to finals, your dynasty's still there. You can't lose one game and all of a sudden say, oh, well, there you go, throw them away. Well, as far as I look, Thompson still has another year under his contract. Green has a player option, so we'll see what happens there. I don't think they'll miss him. They had that Kuminga kid who, for whatever reason, didn't get a whole lot of playing time. The Poole, my opinion, I think the Poole Green thing never really got water under the bridge.
I'm glad you brought that up because I printed off an article, and that's what I'm fumbling for to find it here.
Oh, okay. Someone else talked about it.
Kerr addressed it specifically 2 days ago. I'm just going to read a little bit of this. Steve Kerr, Golden State Warriors coach, admitted the preseason fracas between Draymond Green and Jordan Poole altered the trust in the locker room during the team's attempt at repeating NBA champions this year. There was some trust lost. We have to get back to what made us successful, which is a trusting environment, Kerr told reporters. Okay, and we discussed this earlier in the season. We talked about it, and I said, I don't think they'll ever get over it. Kerr agrees. Even Poole agrees. He's like, I don't have an answer for you. He was asked about it, and he said, Poole, when asked about his relationship with Draymond Green, other than that, he's just on the court and teammates. We was out there trying to win games. What I do recall saying at the beginning of the season is that we're going to come out there, we're going to be playing on the court, we're going to try and win a championship, and that's really all it was. It has been. It's just been business. It's been basketball. So when you go and shut off part of that, when you get punched in the face by your player and all they do is fine him,
right?
Yeah, sure. Draymond Green, I'm sure, was forced to apologize. I don't think they did anything more than that. But also, Kerr says if Draymond Green doesn't come back, we're not a championship contender.
He has to say that.
Well, but he also said that Poole is an integral part, and he's a foundational player on that team, and he needs to be there. But he didn't play like he did last year.
Not even, well, that's what I was going to tell you is, if anyone kind of put it to the side or, obviously he was the instigator, Green played well at points. Poole never really showed up at all. I think a little bit in the Sacramento series, but in this Lakers series, even that last game, he had 23 minutes, 3 of 10, 7 points with 4 fouls.
Isn't it reminiscent of what Draymond Green did to Kevin Durant?
Yeah.
Kevin Durant made it uncomfortable for him, and Kevin Durant said, fine. See you later, bye.
Yeah.
I don't need this.
Yep.
I'm a millionaire. Anybody will pay me millions. You go enjoy your time with your buddies.
And with that player option, I'm hoping Kerr, the GM, the owner, and all them sitting there like, and they got to be weighing the pros and cons of Poole or Green. You can't keep both going into next year. You obviously see it. There's a rift. So you got to take one of them. We're going to go. Are you trading Poole and getting something for him? Or which one is Kerr saying, hey, we can hold? Green's on the downside. Poole's on the upside. To me, you got to move on from Green. You got Kuminga. You still have Looney. Poole is younger. Green's going to ask for more money than he's worth. I would just like I said, just look at this one, 9 points. He had 9 rebounds, 5 fouls. So I get he's like our Marcus Smart on the Celtics. He's their motivator, their, get their going guy. But I think next year, Golden State's in a better place without Green and with Poole than they are without Poole and with Green.
The other side of that, now, contracts are weird in the NBA, but then you also have restrictions. Any team more than $17.5 million above the NBA's tax apron is now restricted to a veteran's minimum contracts for free agents and bans them from signing players in the buyout market.
Yep.
So there are a lot of restrictions related to future draft picks and all incentives. So how are they going to do it? That report that I read from the Bleacher Report, the Warriors won't be able to sneak under the apron with Poole on the roster and Green making a market value salary.
Right.
So does one swallow pride and take a pay cut? Does one swallow pride and extend a hand? And in this, it'd be Poole to Green going, hey, man, we got to move on. We got to be friends again. I don't think Poole does that.
No. Yeah, like I said, if they didn't do it with the whole season, it's a long season. And maybe that was the road wolves, is on the road they were more split and they weren't hanging out as a team and playing together as a team. So that's why they struggled on the road, was that split locker room. And then in the playoffs where you need to be on the same page, and they move so fluent and such a good pace against Sacramento, maybe because they're younger. But in that Lakers game, it's almost like the Lakers could tell that he's not passing to this guy and he's not even looking for this guy, that, they took advantage of it. And
right.
Like I said, that Golden State team shooting, if you go back and look, 13 of 48 threes and 37% from the field. They squeaked over 100 points. Only
Vincenzo.
But thank you, had 16 double-digit points. Curry had double-digit points. Everyone else single digits. Are you kidding me? This was a game 7.
Right.
So yeah, there was something wrong. And again, if in my opinion, you let Green go, you keep Poole and lay on Kuminga and Looney for going forward in the future.
To build on what you just said about Kerr, this is a quote. This was from an article on Inc., I believe, Inc.com. When it's possible to win titles in the NBA without talent, it isn't a guarantee for success unless those players are getting better year in, year out. And Kerr has made every player he has ever coached not only a better basketball player, but a better human being, until what happened this year. So this article was discussing about what it takes to be a leader. And when they first won, I shouldn't say first, when they won their championship in 2017, Kerr didn't want to accept the trophy. He was giving it to his players. He didn't really want to talk about it. And then when he finally did, he was giving praise to all the other coaches, all the players, and the team ownership. And because he realizes it just isn't him. So, and also this year realized that when you have all that talent, it's not always just the talent. And Kerr couldn't get his team to trust each other.
Okay, well, let's segue over to the other side in the East. Doc Rivers got let go for 3 straight losses in the semis. And I get it. Somebody has to be held accountable. It is 3 years in a row. You didn't make adjustments, blah, blah, blah. Miami, Atlanta, even Boston. You're at 3-1 on Miami. I'm sorry, Atlanta. 3-1 on Boston. I'm sorry, 3-2. And you couldn't finish it out. You forced game 7s and you lost the game 7s. He has the worst record in game 7s. He has the worst record in elimination games. So I get you had a point somewhere. But again, just like Golden State, Embiid and Harden them looked terrible. Maxey did what he could. I'll give Maxey credit. That young guy's going to be a star.
That guy's got a motor on him, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Just hustle.
But your 2 biggest stars, Harden is horrible in game 7s. If in his career, you can go back, look at the numbers, he's a no-show in game 7s. He's, I think, like a 20-some% three-point shooter in game 7s.
I agree. And I think that was a general manager James Harden decision because those two like each other so much.
Yep.
So what you brought up is how many coaches are out right now? Okay, so Doc Rivers.
3 big teams.
Right, yeah. So Doc Rivers out. Nick Nurse is out at Toronto.
Yep.
They haven't decided who they're going to put in. Monty Williams out in Phoenix. They haven't decided who they're going to put in. Doc Rivers out in 76ers. They haven't decided who they're going to put in. Mike Budenholzer out.
In the Bucks.
In the Bucks. They haven't decided who they're going to put in. How about the Houston Rockets? They fired their coach, who was an interim coach, and they've hired Ime Udoka.
Yeah. Oh,
and then one more.
He was at the lottery draft.
Dwayne Casey
was
stepped down to the Detroit Pistons and decided to go to the front office.
Yeah.
That's not really that big of a deal. Yeah. The Pistons and the Rockets changed coaches, but the Bucks, best record. The 76ers, 3rd seat. Phoenix Suns, what were they, 2?
No, they were 4. Yeah.
And Monty Williams out, 4th seed, and then Nick Nurse, who actually didn't even get into the playoffs. They lost in the play-ins.
Right. I could totally see, I can't think of his name, the Bucks coach going to Phoenix.
Mike Budenholzer going to Phoenix?
Yep, going to Phoenix. And I see Monty going to either the Sixers or Toronto.
Isn't it funny how they just like, hey, switch seats with me?
And I mean, I know they want to do the interview process and all that, but these are proven winners that, especially the Buck coach, I mean, I don't know how that was on him. His surprising out of all of them, his firing surprises me the most out of all the firings. Letting him go the way they did almost immediately. I think it was the very next morning that they fired him. I'm like, dude, you're putting that on him? I mean, granted, the Miami Heat beat you 4-1 as an 8 seed. But you have to look at Giannis missed some games. They weren't crisp. And I guess, you can kind of put that on the coaches, but it's playoff time. This is NBA. This isn't the March Madness. You're not coaching kids. You're coaching grown people that have been there. By the way, Milwaukee was there last year.
They're kids.
Yeah, you're right. So, yeah.
With lots of money.
Right. That surprised me. And then to see the success Miami is still having. So it's not like you got beat by a team that got swept in the very next round. This team is, not only did they win again, they just won the first game in Boston.
All right. I want to give you a quote, and then I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you the question first, and I want you to think about your answer while I'm talking the quote.
Okay.
The question is, if they closed practices and didn't let reporters in, would that have made a difference with the Poole and Draymond Green thing to not see it in the news all the time? So think about that. And now here's your quote from Popovich. Play the right way means play unselfishly, respect each other's achievements, play hard, fulfill your role.
And
now, getting back to that question, I asked, do you think if it wouldn't have been in the news every day, if they wouldn't have had a reporter there filming it with his phone and you seeing it, Jordan Poole not seeing that every day, hearing it every day. I mean, it didn't go away for 3 months.
Yeah, it was typical media, right? On a side note, like the whole Aaron Judge peeking into his dugout during his at-bat. It's a non-story that you're trying to make a story. Not saying that the fight was a non-story.
Red Sox fan trying to get into the Yankees' heads.
Right.
The reporter. That's my take on the Judge thing.
Yeah.
But getting back to the Poole thing, what do you think it would have?
No, not even close because, like you said,
he can't forget about it.
Right. Not only him, is Poole's entourage like, dude, you can't let him punk you like that. Dude,
right.
Don't let him. No, you got to let him know.
His parents, I don't know if he has other family, brothers, sisters. They're calling him and going, dude, no, don't let him.
Nope.
No,
yeah.
you gotta stand up, respect. But at the end of the day, I'm probably looking at it wrong. You got to do, hey, man, I get it. We're both passionate, fiery guys. I don't like that you hit me, but we got to move forward, so I forgive you.
Yep.
I don't think that happened.
No. And I don't know. Obviously, we weren't in the locker room or whatever, split them. To me, this isn't a Kerr thing. Kerr addresses it, talks to them both. This can't be tolerated, blah, blah, blah. But to me, it's the Currys, the Thompson are your team where they come and put you guys in a room. Hey, let's hash this out now. We need to be on the same page. We cannot split this locker room.
But they didn't when it was with Durant, who was actually a more integral part to the team. So talking about all of this, I feel that this is the implosion of the dynasty that is Golden State.
But can we wait until next year? Because if Golden State comes back and finishes first or second in the West and makes it to the Western Conference Finals, I'm not saying their dynasty is, even if they lose, say they lose in the Western Conference Finals to the Grizzlies, Denver, whoever.
Yeah, right. That's my question. Is this the implosion of the dynasty?
I can't tell you until next year because, one, we don't know who they're going to keep on the team. We don't know how the team responds and plays the next year because I'm a believer that Kerr is an elite coach in NBA. So if you give him some pieces and he's going to make it work. He's going to find what works for the players. He's like Popovich. He's going to put them in the best situation to win. So, yeah, even if they lose Green and say they lose Poole also, they go from both of them. But if they bring in the right free agent or the right draft pick and they write back and they they win 50, 60 games. No, the dynasty's not over. I think it's just, my thing is it's too early. You can't go off of one loss in the semis, and they finished third in the West, and say, oh, no, they're over. Let's see. Now, yeah, next year, if they're 500 or 6, 7 seed, I'm like, okay, yep, it looks like it. But we can't just hand it out on the one loss to the very lucky Lakers.
Right. I 100% agree with everything you're saying. And everything you said kind of matches up with this article that was in Inc. about Steve Kerr, and it's about leadership. Remember when he stepped away from the team because he had back and neck issues and he couldn't focus 100% on the team? So in this article, they say, well, that trusts the organization and the team for you to be able to step away and know that they'll still function. All the pieces are there. Well, and that's Kerr, knowing that it will. Also, the core values. So Kerr decided a few years ago to go and hang out with Pete Carroll. And Carroll said, you know, your leadership approach has to reflect your identity. And then Kerr decided, well, yeah, it's joy is my core value. I have to enjoy what I'm doing. So he realized to be an authentic leadership voice, he had to do what he enjoyed. And from this, Kerr has built a culture of empowerment. And even Draymond Green said, so Kerr built a culture to where one man down, the next man has to step up. And it's not just on him. It's on everybody to come together and empower that next man and have his back through whatever the situation is and ride for him just like you'd ride for Coach Kerr. Draymond forgot that and didn't do it at the beginning of the season.
Not only that, he didn't do it at the end either.
No.
Yeah, fact. And I think that was the downfall of it is when you had read that quote earlier with Pop, you play for your other people, you play for your team and all that. Draymond plays for Curry and Thompson and nobody else. That's it. That's his loyalty to those two guys. I really don't care if I throw Looney the ball or anything. I'm not even going to back you up if somebody gets in your face unless it's Curry or Thompson. And when you said the word culture, and I don't mean to change teams on you, we'll come back to it.
No, it's all good.
Is the Miami Heat. If we want to talk about a team that has a culture of winning, Spoelstra, who's very underrated as a head coach, is amazing. Pat Riley pick the right guy to mold and all that other stuff and take over. Remember way back when Riley was turning over to Eric Spoelstra and they were just coming off titles and D Wade stood there and they're like, who? Wait a minute. You have these other guys. Who the heck is this guy?
Yeah.
And oh, lo and behold, all he does is win games. And now we are in the Eastern Conference Finals. His culture there, look at their big three compared to every other big three, the last four teams. It's Butler, and Adebayo.
Yeah.
Right? There's no official big three. There's not 5 all-stars on that team.
Go
ahead.
Ready for another Popovich quote?
Let's get Pop.
No one is bigger than the team.
Unless you're Tim Duncan.
If you can't do things our way, you're not getting time here. And we don't care who you are. So that played into everything you just said.
Yep.
You're not bigger than the team. The team is number one. Draymond Green thought he was bigger than the team. Draymond Green is still a great player.
Yep.
And
he's a great role player who should not be getting max veteran contract.
Okay, so dynasties aside, let's focus on Lakers and Nuggets.
Okay.
Lakers and Nuggets, Tuesday night's game, Lakers 126, Nuggets 132.
And the Nuggets had 130 points. Okay, good for you. But the Nuggets might want to go back and look and how they gave up 72 points, I believe it was. Yes, 72 points in the second half to a Laker team that does not have sharpshooters. Denver's been playing great defense. They hung their hat on defense, taking out the Phoenix Suns at home. And in game one against a Lakers team that's obviously older, 126 points.
This was, I watched the replay, and this was a fun game back and forth because the Nuggets at one point had a, what
20.
was it? Yeah,
20-point lead. Yeah.
20-point lead.
Yep. And cruising.
Then LeBron decided, I'm going to get to the free throw line, slow it down, slow the tempo, and he needed those rests. And he not only uses it to get in everybody's head because he barrels down the lane, carries the basketball like a football, and just blows everybody away and still gets to the line even though it should be a charge half
Right.
those times. But does he have enough energy then left in game 2? Anthony
No.
Davis had a 40-point night.
Yes, 40 and 10. So we talk about Jokic having a triple-double. He had, 19 and 17 at halftime, So he had a huge game. But on the flip side, Anthony Davis had a huge game. And if any of you guys are following the playoffs, Anthony Davis has yet to show up 2 games in a row. So, they played 40-some minutes. So here we have to go look at it. It's like, okay, if LeBron and Anthony Davis have bad games, do they get a free pass? No. And the other phrase that, the sports world likes to use, and back to J.J. Redick, the term must win. J.J. said it perfect. And I've been saying this, numerous times in different conversations we have at work. There is no such thing as a must win. You only get 4. Every game's a must win, right, JJ? Every game's a must win. Throw that phrase out the window. You know what? If we don't win game 1, it's okay. It's not really a must win. Oh, we lost. Now game 2, well, this one is a must win. No, they all are. Out of 7 games, you have to win 4. You need all the ones you can get as early as you can get.
Yeah, the Celtics forgot that game 1.
Yeah. Yeah, Davis 42 minutes, LeBron 40, and then Reeves had 42 minutes, which it has to be pretty close to a high for him. And they only played 8 players, by the way. So Ham going away from what his normal thing, he usually plays 9 or 10 guys. And it got close down the stretch. Denver went through a stretch of not being able to run their offense, and then they corrected the ship. So, on the replay that I was watching, thank goodness for NBA TV, Nuggets finally caught the right timeout and got to reset and made some shots, clutch shots, or it was cut to a 3-point lead when Reeves hit that 3 right at the end, 121, 124, and that was the closest they got after that. So I think Denver snuck out a win that they should have had to begin with, but I think tonight's a much different game, and it's a double-digit win, 15 points or so for me, Denver winning tonight.
I'll give you my prediction after this Popovich quote. Basketball is a pretty simple game. What wins is consistency and competitiveness.
Consistency.
And I think the Nuggets come in and easily win the game tonight.
Really?
They're favored only by 5.5, and the overs are at 227, but I think the Nuggets win by 12.
Yeah. And, the talk, Lakers figured something out, Ham figured something out. Well, guess what? Denver's going to figure something out. They did it against Phoenix. They've done it all playoffs, especially with the defense. So until somebody beats Denver at home, I'm going to pick Denver every time at home. Now, when we go to L.A., we'll see. Right now, if I'm picking a series, I'm saying 4-1. L.A. will win 1 at home. They'll have a big game where they just hit everything and Denver don't. Kind of like with Phoenix and the Nuggets.
So you're going 4-1 Nuggets for the whole series?
Yeah.
I've got the Nuggets winning the series, but I think it's going to be closer to 6 games. Because I do think after the Nuggets win tonight, they go back to LA. LA wins, maybe both.
Oh, okay.
Or the Nuggets take one, and then LA goes back and then takes one back in Denver. I think they win a couple.
Because Denver has not lost at home yet this playoffs.
I know,
That's great.
But LA can find the ways to rest tonight and then come back and just play out of their minds and frustrate you and play both sides, play great defense, get you frustrated on the defense so you're frustrated on the other side of the court. And that's what the Nuggets did the other night. The Nuggets gave them that extra pass. They realized they were double teaming and they got somebody open, or they started running some great pick and rolls and they caught the Lakers just a step off.
Yeah, and early in the first half, it looked like Denver was doing like most teams try to do early. Lakers must do a really good job of having teams slow down at their pace, because Denver early was running, moving the ball, getting it up the court. And then some reason in that third quarter, it stopped getting up the court. And this is what I think happens is we have a lead, let's run clock. No, consistency. To me, same with the Celtics, with Miami, and I mean to change the games on you, but it was the same thing in the first half. It was assist after assist. The ball was moving, just constantly going around, open shot, open shot. Denver, same way. Then the third quarter, all right, let's run some set plays. Let's kind of get them down, wear them down, run the clock, let's shorten the game. And then people were taken out of their mojo,
They were being a little too conservative.
Yeah.
It's just like I tell you what, we're at the hour mark. Let's move on to the Celtics. But before we do that, Roger is taking the Nuggets to win the series. You're taking the Nuggets to win the series, and I'm taking the Nuggets to win the series. So let's move on to the Celtics and the Heat. Last night, the Celtics just laid an egg. Granted, they scored 116 points, but they let Jimmy Buckets and the rest of his supporting cast get the better of them, and they scored 123 to win in Boston. So, go ahead.
Again, tale of two halves, right? First half, Boston looked, I can't say unstoppable, but like I said, the ball's moving. Smart had 10 assists in the first half, and I think he only finished with 13 or 14, like 3 or 4 in the second half. The ball stopped moving in the second half. And by the way, Tatum, 13 touches in the fourth quarter, 0 shots, 3 turnovers from your superstar. I think he chokes in big moments. Again, Eastern Conference Finals, all the spotlight. He just came off a game of 50. I'm not asking for 50, but I'm asking for you to kind of help. It was a close game. We need clutch baskets.
He had 1 assist.
Right.
Jason Tatum had 1 assist.
Thank you.
The biggest stat out of last night's loss for the Celtics was Robert Williams shot 100%, 6 for 6.
Only got 6 attempts. Yeah.
So your points in the paint or lack thereof lost it for you. Your willingness to not run plays, to dribble down the court, not find anybody open, not run any plays, not trying to wear out the defense, but come down, take 2 or 3 steps across half court line and chuck up a 3, and then not rebound it.
Yeah, and when you get to watch the replay, I was watching some of it last night. They put it back on. It was Tatum does not play defense. Oh my gosh, you want to talk about Olay on especially the pick and rolls and the switches. He just kind of grazes through. Abadiah's posting him up and he's fronting him, right? He's fronting Abadiah like if I'm facing you. So they throw it over. So this is the basket. And I know this is terrible for radio that I'm pointing, but the basket is to the right. So when Abadiah catches the ball, instead of Tatum getting between him and the basket, Tatum stayed to his right and Abadiah went straight to the lane and laid it in. I was like, Tatum, when that ball's in the air, your defense position posture should have been, I got to get between him and the basket, and you shift your feet over and you get over there.
And you know who did play great defense? Jimmy Butler.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was going to say Robert Williams.
But Jimmy Butler did what he needed to do. He realized that he couldn't just do one aspect of the game. He played amazing defense on no matter who he was given. Jimmy Butler had 35 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists. He spread it around. Abadiah had 20 points. The whole team, everybody did everything that they needed to do. Kyle Lowry came off the bench. He made sure that he had a great game. He came off the bench. When you shoot 51% from the three-point line, which the Miami Heat did.
16 threes.
And the Celtics did 35.
Right.
I'm sorry. I rounded up. 34.5, 35.
Right.
You're not going to win.
And Butler joining only Michael Jordan for 30-plus and then at least 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and, by the way, 5 steals. And he had 6 of those.
Butler's team is also on a string of winning, I think, their last few game ones into even last year's playoffs.
Yeah, and by the way, these two teams are familiar with each other. Miami has lost to Boston 3 times now, so they're not scared of them. They're like, okay, it's our turn. Boston needs to forget that whatever happened last year, whatever you beat them last year means nothing. You have to beat them every single time. So, yeah, I'm hoping it's a wake-up call. I did see, or they on the show, they made a point of Joe throwing his clipboard in one of the timeouts, upset with what was going on the court.
He was so mad.
And they just didn't respond. They would come out, why so flat in the second half?
He stepped away from the the huddle at one point
Yes.
during a timeout because he couldn't get them to listen. He couldn't get them to pay attention.
Yep.
I don't know what the disconnect was last night.
No. It was terrible because to play so solid on a Philly team that, granted, we already acknowledged that they played bad, but the Celtics still played really well to take them out of the game where they're like, we can't even catch up. Boston could have done that last night. Coming out of halftime, that 20-some run that they had before the half, to feed off of that. And by the way, they gave up 46 points. Second most they've ever given up in a playoff game for the Celtics. 46 points in the third quarter.
So this just popped into my head. As a young coach, Missoula's trying to fire up his crew. So as a young coach, he didn't realize maybe if he would have stayed calmer, would that have helped?
Yeah.
Hey guys, we're not doing this. Instead, he came in fiery, yelling at the guys, walked away, and I don't know if it would have helped last night. I don't know if anything. Right. I don't know if Popovich coming in and stroking their egos going, hey,
right,
guys, we need to do this. We need to focus on this. Would they have listened?
Yeah.
Honestly, the reason I bring that up, Game 7 of their previous series, people were mad at Tatum. No one has said that, but if you watch their body language after Tatum scores 50, Jaylen Brown is running through the lane and he's open, and they ignore him.
Yes.
On 3 separate plays, he does that.
Yep.
There's other guys that are wide open. Tatum ignores him, comes down and drills a 3.
Fact.
So last night's loss is, I kind of saw it coming. As a Celtics fan, I hate it. And the Miami Heat are great.
Oh, yeah, they're going to make you pay.
But if you're not willing to play that team ball, if you're only looking out for yourself, and I hit some of those Popovich coaches for that, man, my Celtics, your Celtics, James, they could get bounced.
Yeah, and exactly what you're saying. It was more team ball in Miami. Even though they got down, they stayed true to it. They set their picks like they needed to. They rebounded as a team. And when you're just like, how is, every time I took a look at the score, because I'm thinking Boston would be up by 10 or 15, it's a 4 or 5 point game. And I'm just like, how are these guys staying in it? But they do all the little things. I mean, the rebound was 34 to 35, so they didn't dominate the boards. Assist was 20 to 22. They didn't dominate that. Turnovers 15 each, although I think Miami only had 4 in the second half, so that helped them a lot. They even fouled more. They had 22 fouls to Boston's 18. So it doesn't like they overly dominated. I just think, like you said, the Celtics come that third quarter and they weren't getting a pass or whatever. And so if you get to watch the thing on the NBA TV, in that fourth quarter when they're running a play and Marcus Smart has the ball or Brown's up top with it or Horford, Tatum goes to the side. He doesn't cut. He doesn't loop to the other side. He literally just stands there and kind of like, all right, just give me the ball. I'm like, wait a minute.
Run a play, man.
Yeah, move around. They had him set a pick a few times and pick and roll type thing that they would do, but he's not diving and cutting like you said with Jaylen Brown or Marcus Smart trying to get through the lane. Or
I can only hope and pray that he looks at that film and he is self-critical to the point where, man, I really messed up.
Yeah, or like I said, even on the defense side where, like I said, you got to hold yourself accountable. The players hold each other accountable like, hey, and he wasn't the only one. I mean, there's several times that they were late to the spot. So
Roger has the Heat winning this series, and in my mind, I'm saying this out loud to justify it, but I did the reverse jinx with the Philadelphia 76ers, and I thought the Sixers would win. I'm going to do it again. I think the Heat win this series.
I'm going to go hometown homer.
I get it.
I think Boston has a talent. I still believe in Joe as the coach to make some changes. They were down 3-2 to that Philadelphia team that everybody's already handing the win to. And by the way, Embiid now is 0 for 3 in Game 7, so he's not much clutch himself, and you got him and Harden on the same team. I really want to I think Boston wins the next game, and then we'll see how we can get a split coming out of Miami. But I like Boston in the series, and it goes all 7.
Yeah, I think it's going to go all 7 as well. It's now to the point where we have final thoughts. So, James, I'll kick it over to you for some final thoughts.
One of the things I read, we got baseball going on, obviously, and this isn't Major League, but it is minor league baseball. the number 87 overall prospect. He hit for the cycle, but not only did he hit for the cycle, he had 6 hits. So he had a 6-hit cycle, 2 homers in that cycle. So Christian Yelich of the Brewers were the next closest dude, and that was back in 2018. So to hit for a cycle and, oh, by the way, go 6 for 6, that's an impressive night. But in our today's in sports, we go all the way back to Mickey Mantle, 1956. He hit a home run from both sides of the plate to be the third player. In 1956, he was the third player, not the first, the third player to do it. And now I think we're in the 20s of guys that have done that. But, even back then, switch hitters, Mickey Mantle came up in 1956, hit from both sides of the plate. And then for your Cubs, a familiar name from way back in the day, 1990, Ryan Sandberg. He had a second baseman streak of 123 errorless games, and that came to an end today in 1990 for the, while he's playing for the Cubs at second base. So, and on the same thing, the error streak, ace catcher Warren Rosar in 1947, 147 games without an error.
Whoa.
That's just nuts. No pass balls.
Dang.
Right. So, yep, hats off to them. A lot of hockey here and there. But one, another name that we all familiar with, 04, Randy Johnson, the 16th pitcher to throw a perfect game. Sorry, Roger, it was 2-0 against your Atlanta Braves. But Randy Johnson was older, obviously 04. He was with the Diamondbacks, not with Seattle. Finally threw a perfect game. I remember watching that game, or at least the last few innings. 2-0 game. And as dominant as he was, I don't know how he didn't have more.
So you mentioned Johnson, and my final thought, I brought up an interesting article I found on ESPN. In 2001, during a spring game, Johnson was throwing a pitch against the San Francisco Giants. A bird crossed in front of the plate and was destroyed by one of Johnson's pitches.
Yep.
Now, fast forward to a game with the Arizona Diamondbacks.
It was a curveball even.
Zach Gallen is warming up in the outfield. Arizona wins 5-3 in Oakland on Wednesday. Gallen threw a curveball that hit a bird in mid-flight. So, if Gallen didn't go out and buy a lottery ticket, I don't know. It's just, I bring that up because the odds of things happening,
right,
and then they happen, not necessarily to the same person, but it's crazy what can happen.
When I saw it was a curveball, I'm like, Randy has a thing, the ball is going straight, and if any of you guys watch the video, it's on YouTube. Just obliterates this bird. I haven't seen the curveball one, but I'm like, so did he just knock the bird out? I know it's going about 80 miles an hour, but man.
I got one more quote, and it's, of course, Vince Lombardi.
Oh, good.
Confidence is contagious. So is lack of confidence. So we'll see who's more confident in game 2s and game 1s of the hockey. Yeah,
and I said every other night now. So you're going to have a hockey game every other night. You're going to have a basketball game every other night. By the way, women's softball is going to be tied into there. Men's baseball is going to be tied into there. So pick your sport. When we come back, the series could be over. 1 or 2 series could be over, or, it could be a battle and we're saying the same thing like, all right, I don't know who I'm going to pick to win. So it's going to be interesting where we're sitting this time next week.
For Blue Collar Sports Talk,
see ya.
Go watch some sports.